I'm so glad you're back for another video. I'm currently reading this book. Um, I love it. Like, it helps me so much understand myself because, to be honest, I've never been in a serious relationship until 5, 6 months ago. And I was always kind of afraid to be in a relationship, and I was just not sure how to even be because so many people try to tell you you can't be attached and you have to be independent, and our society is kind of like built on that. But now we kind of experiencing a change. A lot more people turn back towards how we used to live and how our brain was developed to function, meaning they go back to nature, they go back to a slow life. And also having a partner, a romantic partner, is something that is ingrained in our genetics. And before they had all the analysis to like the medical instruments to analyze how our brain works, there were also studies. And this book, I'm currently in the chapter that says dependency is not a bad word, because especially in like right now, I feel everyone is talking about narcissism and being very egocentric and codependency and dependency. This is very real and very interesting because, again, everyone always tells you like you should be in a relationship because otherwise you're also dysfunctional, but then you should remain your own person and be very independent, which is true. But the funny thing is you're actually more secure with your decisions and what you do and how you are if you have someone that is like your safe haven and like a secure person. And attachment theory has a lot to do with how you grew up. Like, there's different attachment when you're a child and compared to being an adult, because they say depending on how you grew up, that's your attachment style. Like, there are 3 types of attachment, like the anxious type, the avoidant, and the secure type. Okay, so I'm gonna check with the book to not say anything that's not true. But so I already mentioned the 3 attachment styles, and like, they used to think your attachment style that you're having right now is just based on how you were raised and how you were treated as a child. So that would mean, like, if your parents were very sensitive and available and responsive, you have a secure attachment style, which is the healthiest attachment style. That's what you want to have. You're secure with who you are, and you have a feeling that you're good enough. And then there's the attachment style when you're like anxious, and this might be because your parents were very inconsistent and sometimes unavailable, so that's when you become anxious, of course. And then the third style was the avoidant, which is developed when parents were distant and rigid and unresponsive. So knowing your own attachment style is important because they're different romantic partners, of course, like different humans you could be in a relationship with. And it's important to not choose someone that has avoidant attachment style when you have an anxious attachment style, because that will never work, or it's just very hard. So I think for myself, like, when I first read those styles, I was like, I feel like my attachment style has changed because I so loud right now. I love that. Absolutely love that. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like I used to be an avoidant because I was so afraid of not being good enough if someone would actually really know me, and not being able to meet all the expectations. And yeah, and now I would say I'm secure. Um, it's hard to sometimes tell because naturally you might be a little bit of all, and it just very depends on your current situation, and also it can be increased like the attachment style, the way your partner is. And my first not real relationship but situationship, he was also more of an avoidant attachment style. Yeah, he had that. And I had it too, but then I really wanted, like, at first I was really avoidant and he wasn't so much, and then he was more, and I kind of became anxious because then I opened up more and I was just very, conflicting because it just didn't work. And looking on like how I grew up, how he grew up, I mean, you never know for sure, but kind of analyzing it, it just helped me understand that I would like not choose that type again, I guess. And it's not like always a conscious mm, decision you make, but with growing and evolving, you just hopefully naturally draw the people into your life that are good to you. That's why it's important to self reflect and just think about how you really are. So, um, coming back to dependency, they say that it is not bad. Okay, so the book says codependency is a myth, because there's, first of all, the biological truth that I talked about. That means that your survival chances are much more higher if you have someone that you trust and that would save your life, And then there's the dependency paradox, which means that you are more, like, you feel more secure to go out and do things that are out of your comfort zone if you have someone that can comfort you. And if you grew up with parents that were very responsible and didn't give you the feeling of not caring or not being enough, like just unconditional love, and you have developed a secure attachment style, you're more likely to make decisions that are beneficial for you, and you're not so afraid to take on risk. Of course, it depends on your character as well, not just how you grew up, but it's kind of like when we just talk about attachment, what they say. And then there's the strange situation test, which can be explained like there's a mom, Sarah, and a kid, I think they call her Kimmy, and the kid is like 12 months old, and I go into a new like, I think it's like the hospital or lab where they do that test, but it's like full of toys, like the room where they go into. And she comes in with her mom, and then she crawls around and wants to touch all the toys and find out which one rolls and what noises they do. She's really into it and super happy and plays with it, and then the mom leaves the room, and the kid doesn't really like, sees it at first, but then realizes that the mom is gone. And then suddenly the kid is crying and crawling to the door and doesn't want to play with any of the toys anymore. And also there's still a assistant there, so the kid is not alone, and he tries to convince her to play with like some, I don't know, Lego whatever things, but she throws the box away because she just wants her safe haven, her mom back. And then the mom comes back, and after like a couple minutes she starts playing again. So that is like the perfect example how dependency can help you, you know, go into new situations but not being afraid, which is good because life is about going into unexpected situations and discovering new places. I mean, that's what brings joy to me, of course, like just doing and trying out new things. But it can feel much more easier to do that if you have someone that you feel safe with and that will always hold you back. And then also following your dreams. Like sometimes it can be very scary because you just don't know the outcome yet, of course. But having someone that is just, you know, that loves you unconditionally and just supports you unconditionally really makes you stronger in that way. Um, so I just never thought about it like they described it in a test with the strange situation test, because I was always like, okay, I'm like kind of a lonely wolf. I figure it out on my own. It's so hard to translate your mind, your soul all the time, and it can be so much pain too to be in a relationship, and it can be helpful, all those things and thoughts that you might have. I mean, I'm talking about like my experience can be totally different for any one of you, but yeah, anyway, I feel like I'm kind of like glad I read this part of the book, because sometimes I get this feeling like I'm too much attached, even though I'm probably not. But it's just kind of scary to be so close to someone, because with this feeling, there's also like the fear that this could maybe go away. Um, but I realized what they described in the book with my personal life too, that I am even more willing to follow my dreams. I was naturally very good about it, like taking risks and just trying out new things. But it is just a little bit easier if you have someone that you actually like and that supports you and doesn't doubt you in any way. Because even your parents, they can be supportive, but they are still, I don't know, they still might doubt you, or they still might judge you, not with a bad intention, but they do, like we all do. But yeah, so your partner is more so your secure base for grown-ups. So again, you should seek for someone that can be that and doesn't give you more anxiety or more worrying and doubting yourself. I mean, that's of course always the example when it's just really good and working, and life is trial and error, so you just never know until it's too late, probably. And I mean, people change, so but I guess also realizing how you are with yourself and admitting that it is good to be dependent to a certain extent and attached and caring is a good thing. And for everyone that is maybe, I don't know, that was like me, is like me, kind of like afraid to, or I was like that, like afraid to like be in a real relationship, or just don't know exactly how they would be in a real relationship, because that was something I just didn't know. Like I wasn't quite sure how I would be exactly, because yeah, the first example was just like kind of bad because it wasn't a good match, and then I just never really knew. Um yeah, and then this might not be for everyone, but with horses, I was thinking about that because I'm a horse trainer. It's actually the same. Like you have a, like hopefully a secure attachment style. So when you come into new situations with your horse, um, they will depend on you. Like you will be their safe haven, and that's why you need to establish a good connection, and not with abuse, but like with emotional comfort and trust and all of that. So yeah, I hope you liked the video. I haven't finished the book, like just a little bit. So I will definitely do more videos about it. But yeah, really, really highly recommend this.